Welcome to Podcast Heroes, episode 19. Exciting, yay!
Hey!
Yay. 1 week away from 20. We still need to come up with a good idea for our 20th episode.
Yeah.
You'll never know until you're here.
Well, yeah, that or you could just send us ideas, because we don't always like thinking on our own.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Comment, tell us something fun. If it's anything to deal with money, chances are it probably won't happen, because, we're poor.
Because money is hard to come by.
Hard to come by. We'll still come up with something for you guys, though.
And we already pay for something like $160 for the Soundcloud for a year.
$130, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
that's how committed we are to you people.
come up with something fun for us to do on our 20th episode, and you can be a part of that. We got some exciting news, as always.
Oh, yeah.
And a boring free week, as always.
It's a great free week.
Okay, it's actually not a bad free week at all. I shouldn't be negative like I always am. Except when we talk about rank today.
Oh,
I think we have a lot of things to air out.
Yeah,
wait.
Ranked.
Let's just hold it in.
Yeah.
Bottle it in.
Some hot button issues.
That'll be the very, very last thing we talk about tonight.
I think if anybody's been on the Reddit or the websites or Twitter or anywhere,
or the game,
they know
the game.
the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible what's been going on, but we're going to save that for last, because we always save the best for last. But first, congrats to MVP Black. They won the first international tournament held for Heroes of the Storm.
Yay!
They beat Tempo Storm. I believe it was a total sweep, wasn't it? Or did they drop a game? I can't remember. Because I only got to watch some of the games since I was so busy this weekend.
I believe Tempo Storm won a game, but the last game that they played, they got demolished.
Just destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, yet again, Korea is just showing huge in the meta. Korea is, of course, where MVP Black comes from. I believe they were the only Korean team there, too.
Yeah.
And they just destroyed all the competition. But to be fair, so did Tempo Storm on their side of the bracket.
True.
Even in the games where the American teams won, the Korean teams tended to have way higher damage overall.
Well,
in almost all situations.
Yeah. That one matchup that Tempo Storm did take off MVP Black, it was almost kind of like they got it, but it could have gone either way, whereas MVP Black clearly showed domination in a lot of their games. So Tempo Storm does still look good, but MVP Black was just clearly the superior team at this tournament. It'll be interesting to see if they can carry that into BlizzCon. They got a couple of months to go. So does that mean a couple of months of training will it get better, or a couple of months of where everybody gets to watch more of their games and get better against them?
BlizzCon is going to be amazing, dude. It's going to be really exciting to watch all these pro teams, qualified from other matches from throughout the year. Now for this last championship.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. I can't wait. The Americas tournament is also coming up a little bit later this month.
Which is odd because it's America's tournament and we have a championship. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be...
Yeah, so the way it works is it's called the Americas Qualifier, I believe, or the American Regional. But we also have a team from SEA, Southeast Asia. We have an Australian team in it as well. So it's kind of like a catch-all for all of the teams that didn't have a region to qualify in. So, of course, Korea has their own tournament. China has their own tournament. Europe will have their own tournament. And then America is having this tournament that they're also including the SEA champions, the Australian champions, as well as Latin America and South America.
Come on over to the melting pot. We'll all just, we'll play some heroes together.
We'll all play together. But it'll be really interesting to see. I, of course, haven't seen very many international teams play at all, so I don't know if the SEA team's going to be very good or not. I mean...
Who knows?
Asian culture in general tends to show up really strong in these esports, especially from Korea and China. Yeah. But just in general. So it'll be interesting to see if they, do really, really good here, or if they just fall to a typically weak region like Australia or Latin America. Let's see how those teams do too.
And it's interesting to see the different metas. We were talking earlier about the dual tank, really popular in Korea. And you were saying Brightwing, right, is really popular in the
the Chinese scene. Yeah.
So I mean, it'll just be cool to see other people play.
Brightwing is really popular in my scene.
Well, we know.
Yeah.
You and that monkey, that's for sure. You love that monkey.
Yes, I have the monkey skin.
Not
to be mistaken with the fact that I don't own Monk. So I don't play that monkey. I play the monkey Brightwing.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. I think a lot...
I thought you were like...
I'm pretty sure a lot of people were really confused about that. I'm glad you clarified it.
I think I was confused.
And then we also got a big shout out to throw out to, speaking of Brightwing, Royal Brightwing on Twitter, who posted a photo of a data mine showing that Rexar is going to be released on the 8th.
Oh boy.
Of course, we should qualify this with A, that's not 100% accurate guarantee, and B, we don't know if that means PTR or live.
The last time there was a data mine like this, it was for Monk, and the result ended up being that he went on the PTR.
Yeah. And I don't think Rexar's on the PTR at all right now.
No,
we would have heard about it.
Yeah.
And they do have had a tendency with the past, well, at least the past champion, to put it out on the PTR first, which makes total sense. So I think that's what we should expect is September 8th. See Rexar on.
It's interesting because Butcher was not on the PTR, and I would say he had a not as popular release as Monk did, just because he was released with a lot of major bugs that broke the game, really.
And Leoric kind of had some of those issues, too.
Yeah,
Leoric wasn't on the PTR, didn't get as much of a hype release. Monk got huge, though, right away because people had time to practice builds on him, all that kind of stuff, so you could see one in your queue and not be afraid right away. It's like, hey, maybe he played him in the PTR, maybe he read some manuals, whatever. Yeah. But another thing to kind of back up the evidence that Rexar might be coming out is the fact that the Eternal Conflict theme or special event, I guess, campaign is ending also on the 8th. So you have until then to do all your quests for it. But don't worry, if you really want that Treasure Goblin mount, it'll still be available.
Yeah, but the Treasure Goblin, like the new portrait that you've been saving, that you've been killing 50 Treasure Goblins for, that'll be ending on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, so get at it.
If you're panicking and you, for some reason, really want this portrait, play co-op versus AI games. They're really fast.
Yep.
Like, you can
practice some builds.
You can get 6 or 7 of them done in an hour.
It's
if
pretty
that's all
insane.
you do.
Yeah.
So you can, if you want to, grind out your portrait. I don't think it's that important to me. I probably won't get it.
I'm really not concerned about it. I think I've killed like 9.
I'm pretty close, and I think I might just get it.
There you go. Well, look at you.
Yeah.
The last little bit of news, though, BlizzCon, not only is it going to be exciting because it's going to have the World Championship going on, but attendees to BlizzCon can get a special skin for Illidan. That's always really fun, you know, to have something unique show. It's like, hey, I actually went to BlizzCon. We'll all be really jealous of you because I think every single one of us really wants to go to BlizzCon.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't because, like we said earlier, we're poor and
we're in Kansas.
How does that have anything to do?
You
Kansas
know what?
is awesome.
Yeah, but that's far away.
Yeah, that's true. We can't just drive there.
Yeah.
But being in the center of the United States has its benefits. You know, you can go to either PAX because it's kind of equidistant.
All 3 PAXs.
All like 5 PAXs if you want to be technical.
Well, but there are 3 in the United States.
PAX is a little
4 in the United States.
Where's the 4th one? We got
PAX
Seattle,
Dev,
Texas.
Which is in...
Denver?
I want to say... It might be Denver. I want to say
you say
Chicago. It's in the
I
Midwest.
thought that was just for, like,
and you have to be
developers,
invited by... You have to be media, so us.
Wow.
Or...
Okay, I guess we're qualified as media. All right, so, Tycho and Gabe, if you're out there listening, please invite us. We'd love you forever.
I mean, you just have to register.
Okay, well, I'd rather be personally invited. I think that's a lot more fun.
I think that they're obviously listening.
Yeah, well, who is not listening to this podcast right now?
Did we mention the Diablo? If you're a Diablo player, log in before the 8th to grab Diablo for free. Otherwise, after the 8th, he's no longer going to be free, even if you own Diablo.
It's true. Yeah, that is important because this is the Diablo event. What do you guys think is going to be the next big event?
I'm hoping StarCraft, dude.
I'm thinking StarCraft.
They got to be pushing. Artanis is for sure next after Rexar.
And Medic comes out after Artanis.
Exactly. I predict BlizzCon, we're going to get, StarCraft campaign, whatever they're going to call it. New maps announced, probably. New artwork. Yeah.
I bet it'll be even sooner than BlizzCon.
Really?
Well,
because September 8th,
I bet they'll use BlizzCon to end the tournament.
Oh.
With the announcement of the expansion coming out for StarCraft. Because they haven't announced the date for that yet, have they?
There's no date, but it's just been in beta for a while.
My gut tells me it'll be StarCraft. What I'd like to see is it be a World of Warcraft, but not all-encompassing. More like a World of Warcraft vanilla. And then they do StarCraft. And then they go into World of Warcraft, The Burning Crusade.
Huh.
Interesting.
That'd be interesting.
It would be a way for them to draw out more events.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they come back with a StarCraft Heart of the Swarm.
It's interesting because, like, what if they run out, because if they're going to do it by expansion, like how you're saying it, they're going to milk it for sure. But if they're just doing it by chunks, I mean, because with Diablo has an expansion, and it was just internal conflict, Diablo campaign. So I'm guessing StarCraft is going to be the same thing, and they'll run out after, Warcraft, StarCraft. I highly doubt.
Overwatch, Hearthstone.
See, and
Hearthstone
that
event,
won't work.
really?
Dude. That
Who
won't
knows,
work.
man?
So they're gonna have to get crafty with events.
It'll be interesting to see what they do, but yeah, I think I'm leaning with Bentley on this one. I think they'll just keep repeating the games and name the campaign something else every time.
They'll go on a campaign rotation, which would be really interesting.
That'd be really interesting.
So we'll see.
Speculation.
Yeah, right.
Speculation. Well, talking about speculation, though, let's talk about a topic we were kind of talking about earlier, specifically on maps. The new map did release, last week?
Oh, yeah.
Infernal Shrine.
It's been out.
Infernal Shrines. But you guys haven't gotten to play it yet,
Nope.
have you?
Not at
I
all.
haven't even gotten in
And
that.
I've played it like 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were
It's
saying
fun.
someone played 5 in a row?
One person I got matched with, because I was getting upset, I was like, man, have any of you even played Infernal Shrines? Am I just missing it? They were like, I've just played it 5 times in a row. I'm so sick of that map. And I was like, well, at least you got to play it.
Yeah.
I want to play.
Yeah, so something we had been talking about is the fact that, some people miss out on maps, some people don't like certain maps. You know me and Haunted Mines.
Yeah.
And it's like, what can we do to rectify this? And Bentley had mentioned, what if we vote on maps to play in games?
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea. Just kind of take you said 3 random maps,
Yeah.
and then the teams vote on them, and then whichever one has the most votes is the one that gets to be played.
And it doesn't even have to be a huge selection. I mean, if they just give us 3 choices, someone will find, the whole team will find a map that they like over all, you know what I mean?
Don't
There'll
you
be
think
one.
then there would be like a couple maps that never get any play anymore?
Well, and that'll be a good, message for Blizzard.
Yeah, that'll be a good indication to Blizzard to be like,
Exactly.
okay, people don't like this map. We either need to revamp it or get rid of it.
I don't think they're going to change it that drastically.
Well, you never know.
I feel like that would be a really complicated system to implement.
I just don't know how they would do it because, 5 votes on each side. There could be, I don't know. There just have to be a tiebreaker of some kind.
Yeah,
definitely
and I mean that could
doable.
just be an RNG thing. You know, it's like a dice roll, a coin flip to beat the ties. But if you manage to get 5 people to agree on anything, that'd be just outstandingly amazing.
Well, and if they roll that out, it would be cool if they just bundled it with a unranked draft mode.
I agree.
And
I would love to see
we're all just picking things.
I fully agree.
And and they should actually already have that for ranked. I would say for us to be able to pick a map. Wouldn't that be? I mean.
Well, I think there are like certain games. I believe Counter-Strike does that, like at upper level play.
Exactly.
And other shooters specifically, because those tend to be the games that have multiple maps. Not many MOBAs. Okay, one MOBA has multiple maps, and that is Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
So I think that would just bring another level to the competitive play, because as it is now, at least in competitive play, I believe it's the loser, or I think it probably depends on tournaments, but it's the loser of the previous game gets to pick the next map.
Yeah.
And I mean, that can, lead to people, intentionally throwing games on maps they know they're not good at, things like that. So instead, if it was just a random voting, and again, it's like teams would get to play, but what I think would be cool is if the audience got to vote.
Oh.
You got to send out a tweet, like,
a
game begins,
awesome.
and then they say, send out tweets for your next map you want to see played, and people get to play that, and then any map that's been picked doesn't get played again. So it's not like we see, 5 Blackheart's Bays in a row or whatever. It's like, that way the Twitter audience can get into it. It'd be really cool to see a lot more interaction that way.
I would love to see the audience vote for Blackheart's Bay 5 times in a row. What are they thinking?
Better than Haunted Mines, that's for sure.
Aww.
I'm just saying.
Aww.
All right, so free week. Like you did say, it is a pretty good free week. I won't be too negative on this one like I am on most free weeks. This week free is Jaina, Muradin, Raynor, Uther, Zagara, Illidan, and Asmodin. So got a couple of specialists in there. Just 1 support, I believe. 3 assassins, which is kind of rare to see that you get 3 of one category.
That's a lot.
And then 1 tank. So what are you guys' picks for this week?
So my team, the best team, is Muradin as your tank, with the off-tank support Uther.
Yeah.
Then you got Zagara, Illidan to take advantage of Uther's Divine Storm, and then Jaina.
Yep.
Okay.
Copy and paste what he just said, and that's my exact team.
Mine's different.
Same meta. I was thinking the exact same thing, dude.
Yours is different because you have a hard-on for Raynor.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
And Raynor has been in the new meta, but
Raynor is good.
I've also been seeing a lot of amazing Illidans, and he's just making a comeback for some reason.
With Divine Storm, that Illidan.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one Illidan would be who I would see most feasibly changed out with Raynor here. But that is, you're right, that is my change there. I would put Raynor in instead of Illidan. I think ranged assassins just have an upper hand on melee assassins right now because it's just so easy to get bursted down with a Jaina, a KT in a game. It's like they're these really bursty champions, and a melee assassin dives in and you can get picked off really easily, especially considering that there's huge CC coming from your support in Uther and your tank in Muradin. And so that makes it a lot easier for these ranged assassins to survive, and ranged assassins just do more damage than melee assassins. That's, that's the trade-off they have with the fact that they have less escapes, and they're typically squishier than melee assassins. So, I like Raynor there. I could see Illidan coming in, especially since the Hunt is a lot more popular. And like you said, Divine Storm, both of those combined together can really offer quite a bit of damage, as well as just, battlefield control. I mean, Illidan can take that level 20 change to his ultimate that makes his...
Permanent.
No, not permanent, global. It makes it global.
The Hunt.
I'm talking about the Hunt. Metamorphosis can be global, but the Hunt is the real new meta pick with Illidan's thing. And that gives them the ability to, just because once you get into late game, people, it's team fights pretty much.
Exactly.
People aren't splitting off and pushing lanes, but that gives Illidan the advantage of being in a completely different lane and then joining the team fight.
Or picking off those stragglers.
Right. Yeah, if somebody gets caught out, Illidan can go 1v1 them real quick, kill them, and then suddenly it's a 5v4 kind of situation. So Illidan can be good. I still like Raynor more, probably just because I can actually play Raynor, and I can't play Illidan worth anything.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just my bias.
Man, I don't know, because with the recent releases of a lot of these heroes, like Monk, Leoric, Butcher, Johanna, these guys, they're all really strong melee heroes, and if you're 1v1ing with a melee assassin, you're going to get taken down. Butcher can 1v1 anyone, especially if it's a assassin. Johanna has huge sustain. I mean, basically, if you have to be ranged right now for an assassin to deal the proper amount of damage.
Yeah, it's very true. There's a lot of control out there, and that's what the meta really kind of leans towards, is control and escapes. Yeah. And you have to be able to have a lot of high mobility and a lot of ability to get out of those controls in order to live. And I don't see that meta changing anytime soon. That seems to be where MOBAs always end up, is a control escape meta.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, with Zagara's ult and Jaina's ult, your melee champions might be just fine. Devouring those enemies, land that ice, what's it called? Ring of Frost directly under it. Everybody's getting out of that. So, there's a lot of diversity with the free week this week.
Yeah, there is.
And Asmodan could very easily be swapped out for Zagara.
I agree.
Or you could have two specialist thing going on, like in...
trade out Jaina.
Yeah, trade out Jaina.
Go for the Demon Warriors on Asmodan. How everybody always goes for...
the pool?
The orb.
The orb.
Yeah.
What's it called? The orb of death. Maybe that's literally what it's called. I don't know. The giant flying fireball that kills
You're talking
everyone.
About his Q, I believe.
And has a massive range. And there's that one talent that speeds it up tremendously. Instead of that, take the increased charges on your...
generals?
Not generals.
Or the demon warriors.
Demon warriors. And buff them to heck, and you've got a really powerful army.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it around, for sure.
So, this is a pretty balanced free week. It does surprise me that we're seeing 3 assassins instead of, 2 tanks or 2 supports. So that kind of does lock you up if you're depending on the free week and you're not much of an assassin player. But then again, I mean, it's always good to branch out, try other roles, because you don't want to be stuck in a single role like I was for a while, only being able to play tanks, and then suddenly someone else on your team would pick Johanna, and you're like, well, I can kind of play, maybe something else.
Maybe.
I'll try.
And if you haven't tried Uther, give him a try, because he's one of the top tier supports.
He's a top 2 support right now.
Definitely. And you get to see what it's like going from having 4 buttons to worry about to suddenly having like 8 buttons to worry about and being like, oh crap, where's cleanse?
Yeah, that's true. But luckily when you die, you only have 1 button to worry about.
That's true.
That's true.
Stop running away
Stay
from the
and
ghost.
Yeah.
He wants to heal you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's always fun and exciting, the free week.
Did you miss...
I want to see Murky. I haven't seen Murky on free week in a while.
That's
I don't
true.
even remember seeing Murky on free week. And of course, no Abathur.
Yeah, and
again.
It'll be another...
I think
another
it was
9 months.
Twice a year.
What was it? A couple weeks ago, there was a mispost and saying Murky was on free week, and then they took him off, and then they added a different.
That was, I think it was last week.
Or actually, no, there was 2 specialists, and they ended up going with 1 specialist, and that's what it was with Gaslow. Yeah. So I don't know.
They've always been in a weird position with Murky.
Yeah.
He's probably the only hero that has flip-flopped ever since Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
In Alpha, he was brokenly strong. His pufferfish, you could just sit in the curse map in like one of those little nooks and crannies, just sit there, throw the pufferfish every few seconds, decimate their towers all over the map, get a huge experience lead really early in the game, starting even before the minions have spawned, and then they flip-flopped him. He kind of got super underpowered, and now I think he's sitting at right about a 56% win rate. One thing I don't know if we mentioned, Monk got dropped to 10K.
That's right. We forgot to mention that he was 15,000 last week, but now he's only 10,000. So get out there and play him. Have some fun on him. And you're going to buy him. Is that what you said? Or are you saving for Rexar?
I have enough to get Rexar when he comes out. I just don't know.
He's tons of fun, man.
Monk doesn't seem
and you're
like
a
he would be my
player.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're more of a range support.
I don't know.
But now you're going to be a range
love
warrior.
Rhaegar.
Well, and I mean, let's look at the support meta real quick, though, because this is something we were going to talk about. And the support meta is just in a really tough place right now, because you got 2 supports who you can't play as solo supports. I don't care how good you are on them. Tyrande and Tassadar cannot be solo supports.
No.
Tyrande does not have the healing. Tassadar does not have the shielding. Yeah. They're both fantastic damage dealers, and I love playing both of them. They're my 2 favorite supports to play, but I only play them if I have a second support to play with me, because they really are more of just a hybrid between an assassin and a support. And so, that's kind of the role they're in. So that takes out 2 of your supports right there. Then you have the top 2 supports in the game, which are Uther and Rhaegar. And they're just strong, for the obvious reasons of, Uther has incredible control with his on-click CC, which is hugely powerful. It's the only one in the game right now that's an on-click CC. And then there's Rhaegar, who has just the best burst healing in the game. There's nothing more disappointing than about to kill somebody and Ancestral Healing goes off on them and heals them back to full. And you're like, well, great. There goes every cooldown I've just blown, and now they're going to come crashing down on me and kill me.
And he's mobile.
Right.
I would say maybe overall those are definitely the top 2, but that doesn't mean that they're always the top 2.
Well, yeah.
Lily is actually the highest win percentage support in the game. It has been for like 12 days.
Yeah, I know. I see her all around.
And I think she has higher damage than any other support.
She does. Right now, at least in the current meta. So there's your 5th support. There's number 5 is Lily. Lily fits a really niche market in there, and that she can be good on a good player, but a bad player is astoundingly bad. Yeah. And that's kind of her trade-off.
She's quite easy to counter.
She's quite easy to counter. She's quite easy to catch. I mean, I know she does have that passive that can build up her speed, but still, like, it's not like she has an inherent escape, a way to get out. And she doesn't get cleanse, which is incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm. And her even heal though they nerfed isn't that bursty, too. It's over time. And it's,
right.
Some plays that just doesn't work out.
And Malfurion's kind of in the same boat as Lily, if you ask me. Malfurion's an incredible support if you're good at him, because he does have that AoE control, which is insane, and can just change team fights like no other. Tranquility, I don't think is really that strong of an ultimate, but it's not like the other one, Maelstrom, I think it is, that is really all that powerful either. So you always go with Tranquility, but it's not like it'll save someone's life right away. It's more of one of those, like pre-team fight or a post-team fight heals that you cast on everyone in order to get them ready for the next team fight.
The cool thing about Malf is that he adds that bonus mana as well, which a lot of actually any other supports don't.
No other supports are able to give people mana.
So that's a plus.
And so, there's your two. So you got the top two, you got the two worst supports, I should say, and Tassadar, Tyrande. You got the top two, Uther and Rhaegar. And then you got the two niche-filling role ones that are Lili and Malfurion, which you have to be good on to make them good. And then there's Monk, who's just below, I believe, Lili and Malfurion on my list, personally.
That's low,
man. You're forgetting Brightwing.
Well, okay, Brightwing. And Brightwing is also at that point as well. I always forget. Yeah, with Monk, where, there are certain players, like Aaron on Brightwing, you'll win the game because he's that good on him. Her, whatever Brightwing is. And I feel the same way about Monk. It's like you have to be amazing at those champions in order to change the game, because otherwise it's like you're an annoyance, sure. And especially when I see those Brightwings take Emerald Wind.
Yeah.
I mean, it cracks me up to see it, because I know in the long run...
I only take Emerald Wind if I'm level 7, or if I'm, like, level 10, and they're level, like, 6.
Yeah.
And, like, we're just destroying them.
Yeah. Well, and it absolutely cracks me up as a spell, because it's like, okay, that was really annoying to get pushed away right there, but I know I'm going to win the game now because you took Emerald Wind and not the Blink Heal.
Yep.
Well, and really, with Brightwing specifically... It's not the healing necessarily that put Brightwing back into the meta in my mind. It's the blink. Being able to
mobility.
Escape
really
any situation, pretty much unfazed, and then able to just kind of kite around and heal back up.
Well, that, and we've seen a reemergence of melee assassins. Zeratul, Illidan, and Kerrigan have been huge lately, and Brightwing is the best counter to them with the Polymorph.
Polymorph is really strong.
Well, and I think with the melee assassins, it's purely because Monk was released. I mean, if you have to be a melee, any other role to have Monk's actual support be effective.
Right.
So, I mean,
and so we've seen a growth of, melee assassins, because they do great damage, they do, but you have to be a good player on them, otherwise it's not going to be good. And Brightwing is an amazing counter. Yeah. Well, and then Monk. And so that's where I kind of rate them. It's like you got two that are incredibly good no matter who's playing them. Two that are good if you're just a good player. You're going to be good. You got two that you have to be outstanding on in order to be a good support. And then you got two more that are just garbage. I mean, say what you will about those two. They cannot solo support. And so we're at an interesting point, because it's like, if we introduce bans into ranked now,
dude,
it's potential that you can ban out supports with just 2 picks.
Yeah.
And then what the hell is the other team going to do? And that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really excited Medic's getting released, and I really hope we see quickly another support come out. Even if it's just a utility support. They don't have to have heal, but somebody that can work well with, another support. They just need to increase the support pool, because there's something like, I think 14, with Rexar coming out, 14 or 15 warriors in the game, but there's 8 there's 8 supports, 2 of which don't even count as supports.
Yeah, that's not
right.
Are
you kidding me? That's absurd.
Well, and we saw with the Q&A that they are looking at fixes for Tassadar and Tyrande.
Right.
But, I mean, it's not going to be detrimental of, like, changing their kit. It's going to be probably a couple stats here and there of
that
extra
gets
heals.
Switched.
And that, I mean, I don't know. We'll see if that even makes a change at all.
Time will tell. What do you think about the status of supports in the game? I mean...
I think that with some of the changes and the introduction of Monk, I think it's less common for people to ban out supports outright by picking Uther, banning
Rhaegar,
and forcing them to pick
or Malfurion.
Yeah.
Or even if they ban Malfurion and Rhaegar, now that Lili and Brightwing and Monk are at least viable, I don't think it's in as bad a situation. I'm definitely excited for Medic to come out. I do think that we need to get more. But I even see the same thing happening with other roles. A team picks Leoric, bans Johanna. There's the 2 highest win percentage characters in the game taken out from the other team. They can't have them now.
Right.
So they're going to be forced to take the Arthas, the high damage, a little bit lower health warriors, tanks.
Or
go with
Muradin,
a little bit lower damage but really high health.
Yeah.
and really he can be kind of situational.
Yeah, no, and that's okay. I can see that, but and then that's again why I would advocate for the introduction of the bruiser class to kind of separate out the bruisers from the tanks, because there really does need to be a distinction made there. I think a lot of the top tier players do realize there is a distinction, but a lot of the people we play with don't. And when someone picks Sonya and says, "Yeah, don't worry about tanking, I got it," I'm like okay, I'm gonna pick Muradin because you don't know.
And we can talk about the people we've been playing with more during our watches.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Because I definitely have some people to talk about.
All right, so let's go on to I guess one of our more favorite segments here.
Bentley, you said that there was a glitch on Sylvanas.
Yeah, they actually did a quick hot fix, I guess. Yeah, and they fixed... I never experienced this personally, but they fixed Sylvanas' cooldown reduction when her Wailing Arrow would successfully be cast. I guess the cooldown would be reduced.
I never experienced it either.
So I don't know. I guess
it wasn't game-breaking to me. I never saw it.
Yeah, so
I guess it's kind of like the Zeratul thing. Like, now I wish that I had been manipulating this.
Yeah.
But whatever.
It's like in hindsight,
so I guess
whatever.
It's time.
Map stats!
Alright, so we are going to talk about...
we were in different octaves
we were
there.
a little bit.
It sounded fine to me, but of course you know what I know about music.
We've done every map.
Except the two most recent ones.
And if you think about it, really, when Battlefield of Eternity came out, we kind of broke down everything that's really known about it.
Yeah, at the time. We do have a couple of numbers we could throw in there, as well as our top team here. But we are going to talk about Battlefield of Eternity. If anyone remembers from last week, we didn't talk about it because it had been removed from play, but it has since been reintroduced. There has also been the release of, I'm never going to remember the name. Is it Infernal Shrines?
Yep.
Infernal Shrines, which we'll hopefully have numbers on for next week. Because that will be fun to talk about, some Infernal Shrines.
We're running out of maps, dude.
We're running out of maps.
Do you guys think the Battlefield of Eternity is too snowball-y?
Yes. I think Battlefield of Eternity is the only map where I can confidently say this will be 100% won in Champ Select.
Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't say 100%.
Well,
I'm with you 98%.
99.999999999%.
It is so hard, particularly when they win the tank game. If they have Johanna and Leoric,
Johanna or Leoric.
Or if they have two tanks and it's Johanna and Leoric
with a monk,
I don't think you can have any other tank.
Yeah,
that's gonna you can't hold that area.
The thing with Battlefield is that it's all about sustain. It's all about how long, like whoever can be out there the longest, applying pressure to that immortal. That's gonna boil down to winning the game. I mean, it's that simple.
No, absolutely. So for the nitty-gritty details, of course, this is really easy map stats to remember because there aren't multiple factors going on here. There's just two things. 145 is the initial spawn of Immortals, and then it's a 1 minute 45 respawn after the winning Immortal dies.
So like okay. Wow.
So yeah, once it's like say you're the Angel team, your Angel wins, it goes pushes down to 4, then they kill it. At that point is when the timer starts for 1 minute 45 seconds.
I think also, although it's random where they'll spawn initially in every instance, the second part of it after the 50% is reached, they're going to be on the east and west.
They're going to be on the opposite side of what they are. So the Angel will be on the Demon side, and the Demon will be on the Angel side. Yeah. I believe that's something we broke down previously.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We kind of have gone over it.
Yeah. So that's something to always keep in mind. Once that 50% gets reached, just get ready to collapse down on it. I'm trying to think of other good things. Camps are always important, and the camps go away the second an Immortal dies. So it's not like you can kill the Immortal and then run to camp and get it. It's like you need to be getting those camps before Immortal start. And that's just a good tip because it'll be nice to have that pressure from the camps while you're fighting over the Immortals. Because any half brain dead kid will still stick in trying to fight the Immortals and not worry about pushing out a lane.
Yeah, the camps are always great to get after your Immortal has been defeated or wherever the push has ended. Just because there's a little period of time where you're just almost bored. You're almost like, I need to go get a camp, and then once all the camps are done, you're really just waiting for the next Immortal to pop.
Right, it's true.
Yeah,
you're right. Of course, it's a 2-lane map. I can't think of anything else to really talk about.
It's a really quick map.
Yeah, it is a quick map, and like Aaron said, it can snowball. out of control really quickly. Because if you have the fight winning team, you're going to win.
Yeah.
You're going to win the game. So let's talk about our top 5 picks then. Aaron, why don't you go ahead?
First, I want to give a shout out to a few heroes that I think are really strong on this map.
Okay.
Butcher, Gazlowe, Zagara, and Vikings. And Vikings just because this is a rare situation where laning is kind of second priority. You're kind of in the middle the majority of the game. Yep. There's even a gate in the middle that leads to no lane.
Right.
So having 2 people, those Vikings, soaking all the time is invaluable and will give you an experience advantage like they do in most games, but in this one particular, and you can still have a small presence with the rest of the team so that it looks like 5 are there. But my team, I didn't include the Vikings. I went Butcher, Zagara, Johanna, Rhaegar, and Kael'thas. And my thought process with this is that I love Johanna, I love Rhaegar, I like the AoE of KT, and I like the single target damage that KT, Zagara, and Butcher can do. Particularly Butcher when you leave him alone on just one target.
Yeah.
He's just going to continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger and wreck it. So you can really get the Immortals down quickly.
Okay. All right. What about you, Bentley? What's your team?
Kind of a similar team here. I've got Zagara, KT, Johanna, and I throw in some Monk and Vala. Okay. And that's just because Monk on his own, Monk can solo any of these camps on this map especially. Sometimes the bruisers can get a little rough for him just because it's 4, but there's only going to be 3 minions at all the camps. So he can sustain that all day long. KT, Zagara, Johanna, and even Vala, great synergy with all those. I'll have to give a honorable mention to some specialists like Gazlowe and Murky on this map specifically.
Okay. Yeah, good call.
That egg placement on this map, essential. And I mean, there's these weird hallways on the most north and most south side of the map, and there's corridors that actually go all the way to past the enemies and yours gates.
Right.
And if you place your egg right in there, even behind enemy lines, and right when you spawn, just throw a pufferfish at it on your way to the Immortal, you're already going to be getting EXP bonuses, just a bunch of bonuses. And that's what a bunch of people were actually talking about with the rise of Murky lately. He's really cool on this map.
Okay.
The return of the Murky.
Yeah,
the
right?
return of the Murky. All right. I'm going to deviate a little bit from you guys. I will have to concur. Johanna, easily the tank on this map.
Oh, yeah.
She's just the best tank in the game, flat out. So having her on your team is always good. The only trade out I can even see is maybe Leoric, but even still,
I would even say Murden over Leoric.
Yeah, because you just want somebody who's beefy and in the way.
Yep.
But Johanna for my tank, my healer or my support is definitely going to be Malfurion. Okay. Reason being because there's a lot of tight corridors, there's a lot of sustain, but there's also a lot of tight corridors in the middle, or just on the map in general, but in the middle specifically, where his roots are absurdly strong. And so it gives him the ability to really just help control those team fights. And like you said, sustain, plus he can give mana back, so really being able to keep his team in the process. I also have to go with the Song of Ice and Fire here. You got to have Jaina and KT. They have insane AoE damage, and there's no reason to not have them because of those corridors.
Typical American meta.
Well, they can melt those Immortals instantly.
And they can melt them down really hardcore.
Kael'thas, Johanna, and Jaina.
Right. And then I'm going to throw you guys off here. I'm going to pick Kerrigan as my 5th pick.
Nice.
Kerrigan's been really huge lately with her changes. She's gotten really popular. You see players like Jaximus really being able to bust her out and do insane ban-worthy things with her. And her ability to get to the back line. So, like I was saying, it's like these are tight corridor maps. So getting someone like a Johanna, like a Muradin, just like somebody who's big and beefy that can stand in the way will literally body block you just even unintentionally from getting to your back line. So you pick somebody like Kerrigan who can just jump over walls, can jump over other people in order to get to your assassins and take out a team. It's huge. Plus, she has an AoE stun, which is big on a corridor map. So,
especially with the synergy with Johanna's W, and even Mouse as well.
Yeah.
Her spikes, AoE stun, and even her grab.
Yeah. It's like somebody could be escaping a Phoenix, and you're like, no, come back.
Yeah.
It's like stay in the Phoenix just a little bit longer.
And also, another thing to know, when you're engaging team fights with the Immortal, if it's your Immortal, he acts like a 6th player.
He really does.
His and that's saying the same with the enemy Immortal as well. That's going to be a 6v5 if you're just over there. But those stuns are just key. And I mean, if you catch someone just off guard, accidentally stunned by one of those circle ones or even the big one, that puts them out of position. That should be an automatic just target right there.
And every position that the Immortals go to is near a little bit of fog.
Yeah.
So you can almost set up an ambush and like just have all your people waiting, and then it's like, oh, they're fighting our Immortal, and then you go around the corner, ambush them, and just melt somebody instantly. And even if you can turn this team fight into a 5v4, you've won the Immortal at that point, because then you ignore the team, hold them off, but you essentially ignore them and go and kill their Immortal real quickly while they're doing all of this.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. All right, I think it's time to gripe.
Yeah.
Let's not take too long to gripe. Let's give out one shout out. We'll give out a shout out because somebody followed us during the live stream.
Ooh,
shout out
really?
to Dame Slayer.
All right, Justin.
You rock, Dame Slayer.
Smiles.
So it's time to watch us climb.
Yeah.
Or in my case, watch me fall and then never want to play this game again.
At least competitively.
I had a heartbreaking moment, and I'll just go ahead and interject first with my ranking. I started out as 24 before the reset, went 13-7 in my placement game, so I'm like, all right, this is respectable, and then got placed ranked 35.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, it's worth mentioning that was in the first week.
That was before they did the hotfix that we should really have mentioned first, I guess. I totally forgot we haven't talked about it.
Go ahead.
They did a hotfix, and Bentley, you know more of the specifics on it, but my understanding is they wouldn't, essentially before they were punishing you more for losses than you should have been punished for, and so they kind of fixed that so that wins counted for almost as much as a loss did.
Yeah, they were going to place you more closely to where you were originally than they originally intended. They wanted you to remake that climb, but that's just not fun.
It's not the point of the game.
Why do a reset at that point?
And I'll go ahead and interject with where I ranked, just because it's so similar to Billy, but we ended up in such different places.
And it's absolutely absurd.
Well, I'm clearly the better player.
Well,
it
did
just
you guys
drives me nuts.
Exactly the same, right? You guys went exactly the same on placements?
I was 25 before the reset.
So one rank difference. He was one rank below me.
Mm-hmm. Which 24, 25... Like,
it's really the same. But the point being, you were...
Yeah.
And then I also went 13-7, and I ended up...
Ranked 27.
Rank 27.
Yeah.
So just a couple ranks lower than I started, which is interesting because I wasn't that upset. I was hearing everybody say, you are going to be way lower.
Yeah.
They came out and said, you're going to be lower.
Yeah.
Like, you have to restart, re-get your games in there, build back up. I'm under the understanding that I'm going to be able to... You know how when you first started... and you just started playing, and it was like you'd play like a game, you jump like 4 levels.
Yeah.
My understanding, and I just placed just before the podcast, but my understanding is that it's going to be more similar to that toward the beginning. But I guess I'll update you next week in our Watch Us Climb with how that goes.
Oh, so you're saying your next game after your placement matches have all been done and you've been ranked, your next game will actually give you a lot more points?
That's my
understanding.
Could
Potentially, yeah.
Interesting.
My understanding is that I'll easily be able to get at least back to 25, if not exceed it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and I should justify with my stance on it. It's like, if this had been a flat reset and I went 13-7 and got placed ranked 35, I would be 100% okay with that. Because I feel like 35, it's like, that's about what, the, bottom of the second, third rank, that'd be right around 40% ranking. It's like, okay, I could handle that. But it was the fact that I was hearing stories about people who would go like 4-16 and still get ranked 10, or people who went, it's like 19-1 and still got ranked 45. It's, hearing those stories just, it drove me up the wall, the fact that it's like, I went 13-7, which is completely respectable. That's well more than 50% win ratio. And I got 10 ranks lower than where I was. And then somebody like Aaron comes through, gets the exact same placement as me, and gets rank 27. And it's like, there was clearly no reason that should have happened.
Exactly. And I said it last week as well. This placement matches are a complete waste of time.
They are.
They're going off of your previous MMR, which they don't show you. You have no idea of an accurate way of telling what your MMR is. You can for sure, go Hotslogs or a bunch of other websites, but that still is not the accurate
official
Blizzard statistic. And all they need to do, what they should have done, is just reset MMR, have 10 placement matches that could have put your new MMR on the line, and then start building from there. I don't know why they had to go 20 placement matches and then you start climbing. Like, no one... The issue is people have just been finding that the 20 placement matches has wasted their time, and also decreased their ranking when they could have been climbing.
And I'll be the first to say it's quite unfair that all of a sudden after one hotfix, I can get put at 27 when he also should have been at least at 27.
Around 27, yeah.
Like, because we went essentially the exact same situation.
We went from being 1 rank apart, went both 13-7, and went to being 8 ranks apart.
Right.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It makes me not want to play the game at a ranked level. It makes me just want to play quick matches and have fun with my friends, because it tells me, it's like, it doesn't matter how you do in Hero League because you're going to stay in the same place. And that's just not fair.
And the last... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, and the last side note is also, they came out with a fix that now... Actually, it's not out yet, but with the future patch, you will no longer be able to queue up with a party of 3 and actually go into a Hero League.
Right.
3 or more, you will automatically be in a team league.
Well, my understanding is 3 or 4, you get quick match. 5, you get team league.
Well,
because they can't queue you up with like a 2 or 1 person randomly.
That's true. But
what were you saying? What did you just say?
That you can solo or duo queue in Hero League, and then if you have 3 or 4, you have to play quick match.
That's
and then
my
if you have 5,
too.
if you have 5, you can play team league. Then.
That's my understanding too.
Which that is how it should have always been. In my opinion, that's how it always should have been, because being able to have, even 5 people on a team and playing Hero League is just completely broken.
I agree with you. And it lent itself to people who only played with a set group of 4 automatically being better. It was like playing Stitches in the earlier alpha, when his Vile Gas had double the range and did about double the damage.
Right.
And people didn't understand where this damage was coming from, and Stitches was the highest damage in every game.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what it's like. So it always should have been this way. So it's reassuring to see it like this. I'm not going to gripe too much because it still is preseason, and hopefully in actual season play, they'll really have rank figured out. What'll really drive me up the wall, though, is if they never truly reset MMR. Like, they need to figure out a way for somebody who goes 13-7 to get placed at the same level as somebody else who goes 13-7. It's just crazy to not be.
But because we're the Nice Guys Network, we're not going to complain too terribly much. Bentley, did you get ranked?
So this is what happened. I literally have 2 more placement matches to play,
well,
and that's because my last 2 that I played, the latest ones, it was a 30 or more plus games, and we ended up just losing to just the people I was playing with. Dude, let's just say we started out the game, and there was a Leoric, and he was the only tank, and right off the bat he says, "I've never played Leoric before, by the way." And I was like, well, that's GG.
That hits you in the heart.
I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but that's GG if you don't know how to play Leoric, which is probably one of the most complicated
One of the more complicated champions in the game.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I told you about my Kael'thas game, where he, right in Champion Select, was like, if you guys don't pick top-tier champions, I'm going to troll and AFK. And I was like, oh, hey, how are you? And, so we picked fine champions, and we got in, and our Vala dove right in and got killed right out immediately within the first minute, which happens. And sometimes it's totally justifiable, and it was an accident. And it totally was. And we didn't see him again until the 13th minute, and it wasn't the AI that took over, it was him literally sitting in the Hall of Storms, still at his computer, just typing rage at us for 13 minutes. And so there was no way for us to win. I tried pinging him so that he would follow me. It wouldn't work. It was just very irritating that in a placement game that I could be put with somebody like that. But, I know there's nothing that they can really do about that.
That just happens.
But, so Billy was the highest ranked, and he went 13-7, ended up at 35. I was the next highest ranked, and I ended up at 27. So you were the lowest ranked. And you're probably going to end up at like rank 8.
We'll see. I'll go home after tonight and probably whip out those last 2 matches and just see where I'm at. At this point, my current attitude is I'm just trying to get these placement matches done. Win or loss, whatever, just so I can actually start climbing and actually start ranking up.
Right.
Well, I believe that brings a conclusion to episode 19. Again, a reminder, if you have any ideas of what you want us to do for episode 20, you just go ahead and let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll take your suggestions into consideration. Man, I cannot talk.
Are you okay?
YouTube,
Are you okay?
Twitch, SoundCloud. Email us at niceguysnetwork@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Bentley, why don't you take us out?
Thanks for listening to Podcast Heroes, where we podcast about heroes.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Podcast Heroes Network.